You look at it in paper, and your first reaction is maybe, I don't believe it. And then your second reaction is, this is so unbelievably cool. I hope they do it right. And then you actually see it done right, and you go, I don't believe they've done it right.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Poppin the Culture, your weekly entertainment check-in. And me, well, I'm your host with the most, Mojo, of course. That's right, it's me, Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. Such an amazing show coming your way. I've got Celia Au. She talks about her new movie in a New York minute. Plus, Academy Award nominated composer Mark Isham is here to chat about his work, making the score for the Nicolas Cage film, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So much fun to be had, but first, we're jumping into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, as we do each and every show, we kick things off with that deep dive into the world of Hollywood. We look at some of the notable headlines over there, and we break it all down. I need help doing it. My man is back. Cassius Morris is here, the host of Watch Mojo's Inner Sleep. Hey, Cassius, how's it going?
Matt Demers, what's going on, man? Always a pleasure.
I'm excited to chat with you. Bring the hot takes. I'm looking for hot takes today because we got some hot news items. I'm going to start with one that we touched on it last episode, but I feel like we need to keep talking about it because the world is watching a little trial between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right?
Are they ever, man? It's been insane this past week, I think. The whole week. I mean, every day I turn on my TV, it's Johnny and Amber mania.
Yeah, all my social feeds, Twitter, forget it. That's all you're going to hear about. It is pretty crazy, and it's going to keep going. I think, Johnny's done doing the stand now. Amber's going to take the stand, and I think the trial should wrap up mid-May. So we won't talk about it too much, but I do want to bring it up again because, man, there have been some pretty interesting tidbits come out. It's all very salacious. Dirty laundry is coming our way. Can't help but look away. Are you following any of this? Is anything shocking you?
I think it's hard not to follow this right now. I mean, it's just, like you're saying, it just has such a grasp on the media. You know, I mean, I was thinking about one specific shocking thing, and I got to say, I just think the whole thing is shocking, Matt. I mean, this is one of those rumors that it seems that for the vast majority of it, the facts are pretty much true. I mean, we heard the audio tapes come out a couple months ago. We heard the accusations. We've seen TikToks of people sort of being body language experts and analyzing that he was flinching around her. And I always sort of rolled my eyes, but it appears to actually be the fact that Johnny Depp was being abused. And, you know, that makes me sad because, look, I don't know about you, Matt, but for me, Johnny Depp, a staple in, my early years. I mean, I think that's most people.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people, when the allegations came out, it was like, okay, well, poor Amber Heard, this has happened to her. And now we're finding out that, no, this is like definitely a two-way street. And she's giving worse than obviously she let on. But yeah, some pretty intense things coming out. I think it's definitely tarnishing her career a lot. I think a lot of people are looking at her a lot differently. We'll see what happens when she takes a stand here. Also of note is when they're bringing up other celebrities. I find this interesting. Like Johnny Depp made a note that and I try not to laugh here because it's not that funny, but with Marilyn Manson,
right?
That he was being questioned about whether or not he did drugs with Marilyn Manson, and Johnny Depp quipped that he once gave a pill to Manson to make him stop talking so much.
I could see that. I mean, those two are definitely a notorious pair. They actually have a music video called Say 10.
What? Do they?
Yeah, like SAY and the number 10.
Yeah?
Obviously a play on words. And they are the debauchery in the video. They're rolling around. They got a bunch of groupies, and there was definitely a couple pills going on. But I mean, Johnny Depp, it's weird. He's always on my radar, not only from acting, but of course from this too, because he's jumped on stage with Manson. He plays a mean guitar, and he was actually also in the group the Hollywood Vampires. Did you know about that?
I did know about that.
Yes.
Yeah. So there you go, a little musical ties for old Johnny Depp. So that's interesting. Also, I mean, it's just salacious stuff. I mean, we'll find out more as the weeks go on and what else comes out of it. But do you think? So I talked about, I think Amber Heard's career is going to hurt a little bit. What do you think of Johnny's career? Is this a good move for him to be doing this so publicly? I think it might actually be helping his cause in a weird way. Sometimes, I don't know. What do you think?
it's tough to gauge. I think it definitely is helping in some ways, but I could also see a segment of Hollywood maybe just saying, look, I want to put my hands up, throw them up, and just not get involved in either side of this. Just for the record, I haven't been watching it like too closely. So I mean, I'm sure Johnny Depp is not a lone innocent victim in this. I'm sure, like you're saying, it is a two-way street.
Yeah.
But no, I think that for the people who understand these types of situations or are not bothered by it, this will be okay for him. But like I'm saying, I think there's going to be a segment of Hollywood that may turn their back on both of these people.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, I do too. I don't think Johnny Depp's going to get the big Disney roles anymore, right? Your Pirates of the Caribbean, probably not.
And he said he's going to retire from that too, right?
Yeah, so I think we can probably see him continue acting. I hope so. Johnny Depp's a great actor. Does some interesting things.
I love his movies. My favorite one is Fear and Loathing, I think, is like a cult classic. That one is just a trip.
No, absolutely. I think, yeah, we could go on for days if we talked about Johnny Depp's, our favorite movies. So great in all of them. Okay, let's move on. Speaking of movies, there is a movie that's is in the works, a really interesting one for me. It's about Minecraft.
Yes, I saw this with Jason Momoa, right?
Jason Momoa has been cast in a live action. I don't know.
Right.
Live action CGI mix in. I don't know how they're going to do it. This is from Warner Brothers. It's also being directed by, I kind of like this. Jared Hess is directing. He did Napoleon Dynamite. It's one of my favorites. So it's going to be kind of funny. Jason Momoa is an interesting casting, but how are they going to do Minecraft?
It's so confusing. I mean, the one thing I'm thinking about, like you kind of said off the top, is this going to be like Looney Tunes back in action, where it's like half live action, half animation? You never know. But I mean, I think that the prospects for this movie could be pretty big. When you think about it, the most successful animated films are always from a franchise, whether it's like we're saying Space Jam, Looney Tunes, things like that. And Minecraft, I mean, I think next to Fortnite, probably the biggest gaming franchise. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you're right. I think that it's got a huge audience. It'll be interesting to see how they pull it off. Usually when it comes to video game movies, I'd be like, I don't know. But now, Sonic the Hedgehog, they made that work really well.
It looked pretty cool. And they took the creative feedback, I think, on the character, right? They changed them up a little bit from the visual, right? I think we talked about that on one appearance I had.
They totally did.
So if they did stuff like that, and I mean, if they're very much in tune with the online community and they read the message boards about what people want to see and hear, this could be a really good movie. But, there's also always the potential to juggle with a franchise, so to speak, and ruin it and have a lot of people be unhappy. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of like Johnny Depp. Is it a double-edged sword, or is it something that's going to help?
I think you nailed it when you said you got to please the hardcore fan base. You can't stray too far away from what they want, right? So you got to deliver them, and then other people will discover it, and hopefully they'll like it as well. So we'll keep our fingers there. Minecraft the movie. I wonder if anyone out there is excited for this one with, as you said, Jason Momoa. Are you a fan of his, by the way? Aquaman.
Definitely. I think he's incredible. And I actually saw this video, like what Jason Momoa eats in a day and how he trains in a day. And after seeing this dude's regimen, I was like, this man is a beast. And I'm a big fan. I mean, this dude's up at like 3 a.m. every day. And he's a machine.
I'm always shocked. Well, you see these guys in movies or on shows, and they're massive and they're ripped, and you don't think about the prep. Like, it takes a lot to get in that physical condition. It's not like they just wake up and they get it and then they just can maintain it by doing nothing. No, they got to keep doing it. Like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, same as you. I saw kind of his regimen, what he eats, and it's just insane.
Same with me. It's like, you think I just get up and I'm like this naturally? This is a 3 a.m. alarm, bro.
Drinking those raw egg yolks.
Raw eggs, man.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of interesting actors, I want to end with a little Nick Cage. I saw he's got a movie out, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. Actually, in this episode, I'll be interviewing the composer, the guy that did the music for that movie.
Okay.
Academy Award nominee. So Nick Cage back in the news, back in the spotlight, as he deserves to be, because he's an icon.
Absolutely.
Going back to Johnny Depp, he's right up there. One of his big movies, Face Off, is getting a sequel. And everyone was kind of like, what Face Off sequel? Like, what? That was Nick Cage, Travolta. The
Right.
director it's going to be a new director, not the original, Adam Wingard. He did the Godzilla versus Kong movies. But the good news for us Nick Cage fans is that in some interviews, Nick Cage is saying, I've had some calls with the director. Maybe
Ooh.
I'll pop up. Maybe Nick Cage will be in Face Off 2 because it is going to be a sequel. Are you
Well,
in?
that would be amazing. I mean, I think that it's always cool when you see whether it's the original actor or the person from the original book when it's like based on a true story,
Yeah.
working in whether it's a cameo or like a little appearance. I think it's so cool. And Nick Cage, I mean, we got to give it to this guy. His tenure in Hollywood, especially given how eccentric he is and how many, he's gone bankrupt. I mean, the fact that he's still around and making movies that are even notable is pretty incredible, if you ask me.
He is like I mentioned, Johnny Depp always does interesting things with his characters. Nick Cage, you never know what you're going to get out of him,
No,
and he doesn't phone it in. Like I don't think it's in his nature to even do anything like
no.
that. Like if you look at even his lower uh tiered movies, he does some really great stuff, and he can do all the genres, right? You've seen him in comedies.
Yeah.
He's even done rom-coms,
Yep.
action, of
Drama
course.
Leaving Las Vegas, one of my favorites, insane performance.
Yeah, there you go. So Face Off 2, fingers crossed we get a little Nick Cage in that
It could be
sequel.
fun. It could be a nice little reboot, for the generation like mine who maybe this went over their head. We could go check it out, right?
Yeah. And now they just need to get Travolta. So there you
That's
go.
it. Little cameo.
All right, Cassius, this has been so fun, but you know the drill. You got to stay there because we got to take that trip beyond the list. All right, Cassius, this is what we do in this segment. We go in the archives of Watch Mojo, pluck out an old top 10 list. We go beyond that list. All that means is me and you just get to riff on it. But we get to say whether or not Watch Mojo got it right or wrong, give our
It's true.
opinions. We're having some fun today. I thought this would be interesting to do because it's top 10 movies you can't watch in public.
Oh, I
Okay.
like that.
Maybe, and also movies that you can't watch with your parents. You ever like
Yes.
find yourself in a situation where, or like a family, and you're like, probably shouldn't be watching this with the parents.
2 words, Underworld Evolution. I had no clue how filthy those movies were. And yeah, let me put on the vampire movie with my family. No, let's turn it off. Definitely not good times.
Yeah. So little asterisks there. Movies you can't watch in public / not with the rents.
There we go.
Okay. So I want to know a few things. So have you seen any of these movies? Are they that bad? And would you feel embarrassed watching them in public? So let's see what Watch Mojo's got for us today. Number 10 on the list is an oldie, but a really goodie. Yeah, I probably wouldn't watch this in public, but I do recommend people do watch Taxi Driver, 1976.
That one's definitely, I mean, that's sort of a creepy, weird movie. I definitely remember being confused by it. But yeah, I mean, even if I was listening to this like without headphones and people couldn't see it, I would still be uncomfortable. And this is just at number 10. So I think we're off to a good start with this list.
Yeah, this is Scorsese. Just a lot of graphic violence. The subject matter is, like you said, the creep factor is off the charts. So
Real
yeah,
creepy New York.
Oh yeah, back in the day. Listen, Times Square back in like the 70s, man, that was like a different world. Cassius, number 9 on this list. I gotta say, I'm a little surprised that it's so high. It should be a lot lower, closer to number 1. 50 Shades of Grey. You don't want to watch. You don't want to watch 50 Shades of Grey in public.
Definitely not. But number 9, I mean, that's got me scared for the rest of this list. But I mean, come to think of it, let's be honest, this list would not be complete without 50 Shades on it.
I remember people were actually afraid to read the book on the train in public because it was like, wow, we know what you're reading.
Risque.
Have you seen this movie?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, definitely one that I've heard of. Yeah, it's good that I haven't seen it.
Yeah, definitely good. It's not this one or the other one. I think there's 3 in the series. I had to watch them all because I do film reviews.
Right.
Man, they're just not good movies, and there's not much of a plot. And I can't say it's all that sexy the way it's done. I don't know.
Feels
It's
a little
not
clunky.
Not for me. Not for me.
I mean, I know that this was huge when right after Twilight came out. So I mean, how does it compare to
Huge.
Twilight as like a saga?
Well, listen, you tied it in nicely because this is actually based on a fan fiction of Twilight. So if we
I
didn't
did
have
not know that.
Twilight, we wouldn't have 50 Shades. So I don't know. Thanks, Twilight
Yeah,
folks.
thanks a lot.
Number 8 is Train Spotting. This is a great movie, 1996. A lot of heavy themes here, a lot of graphic visuals when it comes to substance abuse, just really creepy things. There's one scene with a baby on a roof, a vision. There's the toilet scene. There's a lot of scenes basically that you don't want to have other people peek
The
over your
toilet scene, it has me scared for sure. I don't even want to know what's happening there. But I mean, definitely the drug movies can get sketchy too.
But this is a great one. I do recommend people watch it. Just
Okay.
don't leave your house watching it.
Yeah.
Number 7 is Gummo. This is a weird one. This isn't like a big blockbuster by any means, but for those that know Cassius, know that yeah, this one has a lot of disturbing content in here. The director has done numerous other films that are probably not to be seen in public.
And when did this one come out? This was a 70s movie?
No, this one's 90s. This is 90s,
Okay.
1997.
Wow.
And what this director does, Carmine, I believe his name is. He did a movie called Kids. He did a movie called Bully. He did Spring Breakers.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Spring Break.
So he takes these stories and anyways, they're great. I love his vision. I like what he puts out there. It's just not stuff that you probably want to watch with other people.
And apparently the bunny ears on Louise in Bob's Burgers are actually from this movie. Is that correct? The reference?
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Okay. Ugh, I can see that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
really creepy.
Gummo is one of those movies. Once you watch it once, you'll never be able to rinse it from your brain. Number 6 on this list. Okay, if you do watch it in public, maybe put the volume down. It's called Don Juan.
No, I think it was Don John. Yeah, no.
Don John.
This was Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Scarlett Johansson, correct?
Yeah, 2013. It's been a while since I've seen it. I have seen it, and so it's dealing with Levitt's character, and he's obsessed with adult entertainment. So you're going to get those visuals and those audio cues in here.
Yeah.
It's a really fun movie. I like him as an actor, Gordon Levitt. Are you a fan?
He's incredible. You know, I mean, from his portrayal of Robin, which was so well done, and you know, just everything from that to his interviews just about filmmaking. I mean, for me, I think he's like one of the few modern day actors that kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, the classic leading man, almost like a James Deanish kind of type. Like he just seems to have that classic cavalier love for acting.
Yeah, you named it with James Dean, and especially in this movie too. He's got, you know, he's really funny in it, and it's an interesting theme to take on, something you don't usually see in movies. But yeah, maybe one
I think
that
it was oddly tasteful too. I mean, for a movie about adult films, it was. I mean, it could have been a lot more raunchy, and I definitely enjoyed the way that they did it. I think Levitt had definitely a lot of hands-on involvement in this film.
definitely. All right, number 5. Ooh boy, this one's a heavy one, and I can see why it's on this list of movies not to watch in public. It's American History X. I mean, there are so many scenes that are just intense, graphic. The opening one with the curb stomp is one that I literally can't shake. But there's so many. An important movie that I think people definitely do need to watch.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, it's sort of up there in the category with Roots, maybe a Schindler's List. You know, these are films that of historical, you know, not only accuracy, but of, you know, relevance and telling people's stories. I think it's very important. I did hear that this film took a big toll on the actors, especially Edward Norton, though. Apparently he felt depression and just sort of general unease after playing this character, which, I mean, if you really have to immerse yourself in that day after day, I can only imagine how hard it could be.
Yeah, I can see why. And Edward Norton's great in this. I think this came after Fight Club too. So he's been in some really great movies.
Iconic movies.
I think it's okay to watch Fight Club in public.
Yeah, it could be okay unless there's an insomniac that will get offended nearby. But
just don't talk about it. Don't talk about watching Fight
Club. Yeah.
Number 4, Team America World Police. Man, I love this. This is the boys from South Park put this on, and this is puppets doing really obscene, hilarious things.
I love the fact that people talk now about how everybody's triggered and it's woke culture, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, in 2004, we had massive groups of people trying to cancel a movie about puppets. I mean,
Yeah,
I think we've made some progress, Matt, in terms of people being offended.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, they had a lot of problems with that rating to get it to where it could actually be shown in theaters to an audience that that they wanted to see it. But really funny stuff. And I think that's the movie that has the first ever puppet on puppet love scene.
Oh, so this is breaking ground in many different ways.
That's cinema right here, cinema history. Team America World Police, maybe just not on the airplane or when someone
Yeah.
can see it on your laptop over your shoulder. I can
Football
say
glasses.
doubly the same for number 3. It's a movie called Nymphomaniac. And Cassius, if you have not seen it, the title is accurate.
Leaves very little to the imagination.
There are two parts to this. And yeah, you see it all. You see, I mean, it's an interesting character study. We're talking about a girl who is a nymphomaniac, and it's all about, the encounters that she has. And there's lots of them. There's lots of different actors in here. Thurman's not the main. Lars von Trier, yeah, he's the director, and he's done other movies. So if you see that director's name, and you're going to see that a lot on this list, it comes down to that director that really pushes the envelope.
I like that though.
But this has got all. They don't shy away from any of the human anatomy, right?
It's very revealing. Now, who was the biggest actor in this film, would you say?
Well, Shia LaBeouf appears, I believe, in a little bit in the first one, and then you see a lot of him in the second one. And when I say a lot of him,
him, literally.
You see the full LaBeouf. You see all the buff you need from Shia. But no, it had some big names in here. Christian Slater also pops in. You mentioned Uma Thurman, of course. So there you go.
All-star lineup.
Number 2, yeah, it rivals Full Frontal on Euphoria, if that puts it in perspective.
Oh, well, that's a big competition. So, that definitely does.
I wonder if Euphoria has like a quota. We need to show this many body parts, this many, this. Feels like it.
Reverse censorship.
We're almost at number 1. Let's see other movies you can't watch in public, folks. Number 2, similar to Trainspotting, I would say. It's called Requiem for a Dream. Definitely focusing on that heavy drug use. Definitely very trippy. Definitely one that'll mess you up and anybody else that may be watching it over your shoulder in public. So yeah.
How do you think that these actors push themselves to this place, Matt? Do you think that it's more so just good acting, or do you think a lot of it is like real to life methods of maybe bringing this stuff up from the past?
I think it's both. Yeah, you talk to, I think, yeah, a lot of actors will definitely take on their own. There's a movie, forget the name of the movie, but Ben Affleck played an alcoholic, and he used his past, and he does it so well. And it's almost cathartic at a point too, right? For these people to do that. 100%. The Way Back. There it is. That's the name of that movie.
Okay.
So you'll see it a lot now. You'll see it a lot. All right. Number 1. You ready for this?
I am ready. Let's go.
This is a do not watch in public or with your parents film. It's called Pink Flamingos. Oh, a notoriously vile, just repulsive movie. And it deals with a couple that's trying to outdo another couple about being the most repulsive couple in the world.
It's a repugnant couple. Now, do you think they succeeded with this? Because I've heard that this movie, I think it's number 1 for a reason. A lot of people think this movie is just downright tasteless.
It is, but it's meant to be. Listen, it's campy. I think they categorize it almost as comedy with a little bit of drama, but it's once again coming down to our director John Waters, who does a lot of stuff like this.
Name.
Pushes, and he might have a new movie coming out, by the way. That's the rumor mill. But Pink Flamingo, there's a scene. I don't even know if I can say too much. It's got the nudity, it's got the disturbingness, but it's also got a scene where Divine, the actress, eats something that people probably shouldn't watch this in public or while eating, or
unless you want to lose your breakfast,
or if you yeah.
The eating scenes are always tough for me. I can take violence if I know it's fake, but the disgusting stuff, I mean, I find that a lot tougher.
Yeah, there you go. I'm right there with you. All right, there it is, Cassius. Movies shouldn't watch in public, but as we learned, some of them you should probably check out regardless.
Yeah, watch at
Uh,
home for sure. I have a couple new ones for my list now.
Amazing. All right, well, hey, this has been fun, Cassius. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure. Shout out Poppin the Culture.
All right, everybody, it's now time for our first of two Mojo chats of the week. All right, he is an Oscar-nominated composer. He's also the man behind the score of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, an amazing movie that I just saw last night, which makes me even more excited to chat with him. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm assuming you've seen the final product. I mean, you scored it, and what was your take, the whole movie?
I think it just plays awesomely. This is such a clever idea, and you look at it in paper, and your first reaction is maybe I don't believe it, and then your second reaction is this is so unbelievably cool. I hope they do it right, and then you actually see it done right, and you go, I don't believe they've done it right.
Right? No,
And it
absolutely.
plays. It just plays great. It just plays wonderfully.
So for those that don't know, Nicolas Cage is playing a version of himself as Nicolas Cage. But really, the movie is a bit of a love letter to Nicolas Cage and his different films over the years. And it's like you said, they pull it off.
Yeah.
Before this one, you actually worked on a few Nicolas Cage films.
I have. I've run the Nick Cage gamut. I did one of his bigger, not one of the huge ones. I did a movie called Next, I think, with
Yes.
and then I did one that probably shan't be named. It was one of the lesser lesser ones. But I think the most interesting one that I did with Nick Cage is I did that Werner Herzog film, The Bad Lieutenant.
Oh, yes.
And so that's the artsy side of Nick Cage. Obviously, Werner Herzog is one of the most celebrated, iconic, strangest directors of all time, and just a whammy character. And to first of all, for me to work with Werner Herzog was quite a thing, but then to have Nick as the star was just like a double whammy.
He's such a great actor because he goes through these different genres, right? And he makes it work in his own way. This movie dips its toes in all the different genres that Nick Cage was in. So as someone that's in charge of the score, what was your take? How do you unify all that? Was this difficult?
Well, I came in sort of late in the project. They'd had some other music in there, and they had a lot of temporary music in there, and I thought, well, it's doing its job. It's fast when it should be fast, and it's slow when it should be slow, and it's sort of heartfelt when it should be heartfelt. But there was no real personality to it, and I was trying to figure out, well, what should we do? And it all of a sudden occurred to me, this is really like a spaghetti western, for lack of a better word. He's larger than life. He's like Clint Eastwood as he walks and grabs his guns, and other sort of iconic scores of that period. And of course, Nick has done that himself in so many of his films. Let's just almost step back into time and borrow some of those ideas. So I listened to a lot of Ennio Morricone and to Lalo Schifrin and to some George Delarue, some of those great 70s, action scores that perhaps weren't done for Nick himself in those days, but that are sort of iconic. And we dipped our toe in that water for a long time. And a lot of the scores survived that concept and is because of that concept.
Yeah, no. So if you are a fan of Nicolas Cage, you are going to pick up on all those little cues. Like there's a Con Air
Yeah.
reference there that's so great as well. What's the collaboration process like with the director? As someone like I watch a lot of these movies and I know how important the music is and the score is, and I can really appreciate it. But behind the scenes, how does that even work? Do you sit down with the director, or is this really just thrown on you and you go for it?
Well, it depends. I mean, having mentioned Werner Herzog, I'll say Werner came out to the house one day and said, "It is the bliss of evil," and he left, and that was it. And he left it all to me. Tom is Gormican is not that style at all. He's very, very hands-on. He loves music. He knows exactly what music can do for his film, and he was very painstakingly detail-oriented with me. And the good news is my first pass he really loved. So then it was just a matter of getting in and fine-tuning everything. And there was a lot of moving stuff around and changing stuff as we got into it, but it was driven by him. He had the concept here. Once I gave him sort of the overall musical concept, it was rarely a collaboration with him, and he wanted it this way, and then let's move it here and put it here, and very, very creative guy.
Amazing. Okay, you've probably been asked this in every single interview you've done for this movie, so I'm going to ask it again because I expect a good answer. What is your favorite Nicolas Cage movie? As we already mentioned, his filmography is all through like all across the map, different genres. Mark, what's your go-to?
Oh my God.
Can you nail it down to one? Bad
I
Lieutenant is
can't.
not a bad one.
Bad Lieutenant, I would say, because I know it the best, just because I looked at it so many times that I know his performance so well. I probably first became aware of, and this was even mentioned, is dropped in there, is Moonstruck. I mean, he was
Yeah.
practically a kid, and he was in Rumplefish too, wasn't he? Years, I mean, so I knew of him since then, and probably those types of roles where he was maybe not the hugest action star of all time for which he was for, although you can't fault Face Off. I mean, Face Off is
Guilty pleasure.
such a fantastic film. I mean, and both of those guys, I mean, he and Travolta are just so good together.
Yeah, and I'm loving the new Nick Cage properties too, like your Mandy, which was just insane, and then Pig, which just came out last year, which was so understated but so great as well.
Yeah.
Mark, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me about this movie. I'm assuming you've got stuff on the go. Can you tell us what you're scoring next?
Ah,
No?
well, I'm actually right now finishing up the season. Well, it's sort of part two of season one. I'm doing this Joss Whedon developed show for HBO called The Nevers.
Yes, the Nevers. Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're deep into season two of that right now, which is really fun because it's full orchestral, Victorian England, but with space, sci-fi at the same
Yeah.
time. So it's another run the gamut sort of score, which I love. I love doing stuff like that.
Amazing. Well, I love chatting with you, and it's the unbearable weight of massive talent. The score by this gentleman right here. Make sure
Hey,
you
thank
check
you
it
so
out.
much.
The movie is titled In a New York Minute. I can't wait to dive in, find out all about it. And hey, look who I've got with me, one of the stars. Hey, Celia, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Matt? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to chat with you about this movie. And we're going to show some visuals here, and they just look great. The lighting, the cinematography here. But this is a personal story for three characters. Give us a rundown of what people can expect out of this particular movie.
So this film is about like three girls and their experience living in New York City as females, and all of them faces something different. There's a LGBT theme. There's something that's adultery. Someone's finding had an affair, and then the last story, which I'm in, talks about a young girl who works as an escort at night to try to support her own living and to break out of like her crazy family situation.
So you've got these real personal stories in New York. By the way, you filmed in New York City, right? Like,
Yes, we did.
a lot of movies will film in other cities to double, but this is actually in New York City. How is it filming in New York City? Do you get a lot of like, hey, yelling off screen?
It's actually fun because they filmed a lot in the neighborhood, like at least for my storyline and stuff that I do, they filmed a lot in the neighborhood that actually I grew up in.
Oh, wow.
So instead of a lot of people going like, oh, let me go into this film set, no one usually shoot there. So if you're like, what's happening? And we're like, oh, we're shooting a movie. They're like, oh, cool. Do you want some coffee or anything?
Amazing. So it was a bit of a homecoming filming within your neighborhoods.
Oh, but you know where the KTV setup is when like where Nina works?
Yeah.
That's a karaoke bar I used to go to when like we were kids. And they were
Amazing.
like, oh yeah, here's your rooms and you can sing karaoke all night and host your birthday parties.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
My go-to, oh my God, you're gonna laugh at me. I love the Backstreet Boys, like the old Backstreet Boys. And then I think every single time though, we always starts with Wannabe by Spice Girls.
You got to. Come on.
You gotta, it pumps the whole room up and everyone's like, happy and joyful, so you're not starting up with like a sad song. And usually we will go from that. And Roger, who plays my boyfriend, who plays Ian in the film, he and I have an ongoing thing where we won't stop singing Disney songs.
Oh,
And
yeah.
whenever we're on set, I remember there's one scene where we're like so cold and he was trying to keep me warm and we're shivering. And then suddenly we just go, a whole new world. And then our sound guy, Victor, he was like, oh my God, you guys are going again.
Damn you, Disney. They're so catchy. You're not alone. You are not alone. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was filmed prior to the madness that was the pandemic, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you didn't have to do the whole isolation and stuff. And it's a really a great cast. I mean, the acting here is top notch. What was that experience like behind the scenes? Everyone wants to know, oh, what happened behind the camera?
Well, the funny thing is, all the girls are friends of mine. So the three of us know each other already. So when we got, I'm like, hey, and I mean, they know me quite well. So I remember the first day I stepped on set, and they're like, Celia, you're like really girly in this film. I check like maybe once in a blue moon I'll put on a dress.
Oh,
But
okay.
that's not literally like my go-to kind of outfit. So when they all saw me in a dress, they're like, who are you? I don't know you anymore. Ludi, who's in the Angel storyline, him and I have a bunch of mutual friends. So one of the first day we met, he was like, hey, what's up? I'm Ludi. I've heard a lot about you. And I was like, I've heard a lot about you too. He's like, yeah, we should be friends.
By the way, Ludi's from Mortal Kombat, right?
Yes.
I got that right. And hey, you Wu Assassins, who would win that fight if you two were to?
I mean, he's still he's still kind of immortal. I am 1,000-year-old monk. I think I'm more Zen than he is. Just saying, you know. And I taught Iko Uwais. Come on.
There you go. I love it. I love it. No, it definitely does sound like a great time behind the scenes. What was kind of your favorite part filming? Is there a scene that sticks out that because I talk to a lot of actors sometimes, and there's really there's one moment while filming or one scene that really stays with them long after, and in this case, a few years after the filming. Is there one for you?
Man, it was so much fun because everyone know each other. Even like my evil stepmom is a good friend of mine. I'll tell you one scene that stuck out. It was the scene in the food truck when Ian and Nina finally, like, you see them kissing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was towards, I think, one of the last days of shooting, and we were on the food truck. We did like, I think, multiple takes, and they're like, oh my God, the generator is so loud. Like, is there a way to like muffle the generator? And finally they figured something out, and they go like, all right, one more take, guys, one more take, it'll be done. And we're like, yeah, sure, whatever. Start shooting, and then we did our like lines, and start making out. And we're like, both Roger and I was like, this is a really long time. I don't know what else to do. And then I just like literally deadpan into the camera and be like, are you guys done? And they're like, oh, we cut a long time. We just kept letting you guys go.
They're letting you enjoy the moment.
It was so funny because everyone just like broke, and we're like, of course. Because at that time, everyone, like the whole cast and crew, knew everyone really, really well.
Yeah.
And they were just like, we'll just let this one go a little bit. Let's see where it goes. And then like when I did the dead like stare right into the camera, everyone just started cracking up. Like, I knew Celia was gonna do that. We were waiting for when.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so we talk about this movie. Obviously, you guys filmed in New York City. It's a New York minute. A lot of really great shots of New York. Is there a New York film, a film set in New York that stands out for you? We like to celebrate all things pop culture here. I'm thinking one of mine that's quintessential New York for me is the original Ghostbusters. I love that one.
Yes.
That's very New York to me. What about you? What film celebrates New York other than this one?
Okay, get ready for this. The film did not take place in New York, but the opening sequence, I'm pretty sure, was New York City, Chinatown, was Gremlins.
Oh wow, yes. Gremlins. Man, no, you're barking up the right tree because I love me some Gremlins. So yes.
I remember like I think I watched Gremlins when I was like 2. And then my cousin like basically like it was like hiding me in a room right when it gets scary. Like, you're not allowed to watch it anymore with that. And years later, I'm watching it again. I'm like, wait, Murkwai is from Hong Kong, and that's where my family's from. And I'm like, oh, Murkwai is my people. And I was like, that's why we're so cute. And then I was like, wait, it's in Chinatown, New York. That's where they got it. I was like, I remember going to Chinatown, being like, where is the store? I wonder where like they shot this place. Probably a set, but in my head, I'm like, oh, where can I get a Mogwai?
That's amazing. That is so good. As an actress, you're in different genres. We talked about the Wu Assassins. We talked about this one where you're completely different from what you said was your real life. Is there a specific role or specific genres that you like tackling? Is there one that you haven't that you want to take on?
There's so many that I haven't, but I think as an actor, the joy of being an actor is that you can take on different personalities and, you know, step in the shoes of different people and experience their life and how it's like to be them. Like as a kid, I remember I was like, oh my God, I want to be a police officer so I can be, you know, fighting injustice. And then I saw like a show about firefighters and I'm like, I want to be a firefighter and save people. And then I saw a show about law, like, you know, law and order, like lawyers. I'm like, I want to help people like as a lawyer. And then I realized I'm like, you know, I'm just gonna be an actor. I can be all these things.
You can do them. You can do them all. You can do them all. Well, listen, we love watching you on the screen, and we really want to encourage people to check out this really great film in a New York Minute. Celia, thank you so much for your time today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for having me, Matt. Thank you for supporting the films, and guys, peace.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition, everybody. Thanks so much to Cassius for joining in on all the fun. Mark, Celia, so great. And hey, I want to thank you for watching and listening. Till next time, I've been Mr. Hollywood, popping that culture.